Welcome to the Equity.Guru Investor Roundtable. We've got a new face on board from recent previous editions. The man waving is Galen Engen down in the far corner, bringing his expertise to the table. Chris Perry in the basement below me, and Vishal Vatura living large upstairs here, Mr. Chart Attack himself. We are talking about Arizona metals today. I want some gold. I want some copper. I want some zinc. Where am I going to get it? Toronto-based, Mark Pays is the CEO and president. And we're going to start with Mr. New Guy himself, Mr. Engen, to tell us just a wee bit about Arizona metals.
You got it. Just starting off here, a good thing to sort of touch on is the fact that mining in a mining-friendly district really does add a huge plus to anyone's project and potential. I mean, if you're mining in West Africa, get ready for some AK-47s. And so this is the thing that investors and institutional investors can really get behind. So operating in places like Arizona is like a top flight location. So already Arizona Metals has got a big feather in its cap for having operated within the Golden State, as it were, in the United States. And above that, there's also a huge play on location for this company. They're surrounded by producing mines. They've are in an area that has actually produced, let me see here.
60 past producing underground mines.
That is correct. That is correct. And we're talking high copper concentrations in a day and age where most average mines are pulling in, let's say, 0.6% copper, where the K mine under, this is one of their flagship projects, is listing itself at, what we got here, let me see, 5.8% copper equivalent. That's a pretty high target. So they're building on this all the time. They've just finished a bunch of drilling. They're bringing down assays as we can speak. And quite honestly, this is probably the most exciting story over the last little while, not just due to location, but the management has a huge pedigree, a relationship with larger majors like Ross Beatty. There's all sorts of connections that can be drawn upon for this company. And honestly, it presents a really good investment case if you're looking to get into the sector, because the stock has been performing well due to performance in a very tough market. It's gone up like 83% in the last 6 months. So one can only say at this point in time that they're probably heading for a blue sky potential. I'm not going to say anything definite right now because, of course, anything can happen. But the way things are playing out right now, we've got a possible potential, and this is pure speculation on my part, of a giant takeout. Just the way that these guys are operating. So, take a look at it. It's up to you. I'm going to pass this on to somebody else so they can talk for a little bit. But yeah, that's my introduction, man.
Yeah, and I understand they own 100% of their property.
There's no royalties involved at K-Mine. None.
What are the charts doing, Vishal? Because you just heard Galen mention some of the activity.
Yeah, for sure. Just before I take a look at that quickly, I just want to hammer the points Galen mentioned. I almost call these guys a junior, but with the market cap, they're technically not a junior anymore. But management, location, right, jurisdiction, and then the cash position there. So Galen hit those points quite well. Stock-wise, the market loved it. Year to date, this thing is still up 233% year to date. At the time when the stock hit its highest of the year at 555, it was actually up over 5% year to date. So we've given up some of the gains there. But the big gap, the big pop that actually happened here goes back to what Galen was talking about. It was actually a discovery back in May, which propelled the stock to shoot higher. The management, they've had a previous discovery. I believe it was sold to Equinox Gold, but the company that they used to run, previous management, which is obviously very important because if they've had success before, they can likely do it again. They know what they're doing. That was Telegraph Gold, so that's the previous company that some of the management members used to run. But yeah, as I said, stock is up really strong, 233%. Market cap is 287 million, so it is quite high, I guess, for a project that is still in that early de-risking phase there. They did raise cash, 21 million back in May, I believe it was.
Yeah, and this,
And you know,
as of June, they've
June.
got 20.
Okay.
Oh, no. As of June, they've got 27 million in the kitty.
In the bank.
Yeah,
In the
so
bank. So
they're
good
running,
enough
they're
to
running good.
Yeah, good enough to start Catalyst and get drills. But just technically, you know, it is a crazy market right now. There's a lot of issues with the whole China Evergrande, and at the time we're recording this, there's a big Fed meeting tomorrow. So there's, you know, expect volatility recently in the charts, but there was this big support at around $4, which you can sort of see held here multiple times this year. That broke down largely not to do with, you know, company news, but more so gold, which dropped. And you know, funnily enough, I was actually, when I first saw this huge jump this year, I was thinking, I wonder if it's because the ticker is AMC, which is, you know, very similar to the AMC in the United States, right, with the whole movie theaters. But no, it's AMC.V. But they have discovery, they have cash, they got good management. So there's actual fundamentals behind this. And just today, I want to highlight this candle here quickly. You know, I drew this level here at $3, which I find, which I believe is a nice support zone here. And, you know, again, just because of the volatility in the markets today, that candle actually did touch $3, and we did see buyers step in and drag the price up to 340 today. So I do like what I'm seeing there in terms of support, and we will keep our eyes on this.
Well, we know you were definitely not talking about AMC, the former car manufacturer that used to make the Gremlin.
I'd buy that.
Those were beauties.
I used to drive an AMC Hornet.
Oh my gosh. All right, Chris, you look like you're chomping at the bit to join this party. What do we got there?
Well, you know what? You guys have really covered most of it. You know, when it comes to mining stories, I'm a little bit different from most. I don't get buried in the technicals. I feel like the technicals is something that there are certain people that are built for. I want to know a good story. And for me, the story with Arizona Metals is not that there might be gold and copper under the mountain there. It's that they've found the gold and copper under the mountain. When these guys went out earlier in the year or late last year and looked for $5 million to progress things along here, they quickly got 10 million, then 18 million, then 21 million. Like, people who know, people who do make the effort of digging into those technical details, they're throwing money at these guys. So a lot of the times with a mining junior, you know, your risks are, one, do the people that run the show, are they connected enough to get money when they need it? Cha-ching. Mm-hmm. 2, is there gold in them, their hills? Cha-ching. 3, are they clobbered with debt? Are they going to get buried by royalties? Cha-ching. No problem there either. So they've really removed a ton of risk. The only risk now is, does the global gold market fall into a puddle and there be no real reason to build a mine? I don't see that coming. If anything, I think global economic crises makes people look for places to hide their money, which means we need more gold, which is great for Arizona Metals. They're in a place that, you know, will throw mining permits at you, not literally, but, you know, they don't make it hard. There's a whole lot of desert out there in Arizona that they'd like to make productive. You know, these guys are connected. It's a $300 million market cap. You don't get the $300 million market cap if you're still bumping around in the desert, turning over rocks, hoping to find something. This is more of a process rather than a risk profile. So for me, I look at that recent dip on the charts there, and I think that's good. That's great for me. Coming down from $5.40 to $3.40, that's very inviting if I'm going to be putting some cash into it. And you know, as far as I'm concerned, right now is the time to start getting into gold. Really, the economic headwinds are pretty stiff. I don't think that the China situation is necessarily going to catapult us into crisis, but it is sure as hell going to freeze a little bit of Chinese capital. And the resource sector isn't so dependent on Chinese capital as, say, technology, crypto, that kind of thing. So I think this is a good time to be looking at guys that are putting it together, that have runs on the board, and that have removed almost all of the risk.
So of my $5,000 right this minute, Chris, go first. You are spending how much now and how much later, or if?
Well, so here's the thing. I would have talked to you back in January when we first started covering this deal and said, Probably 2 or 3K of your 5 would be an interesting bet. And right now you'd be looking at basically a triple. You could have potentially got out of there with a quintuple. I don't think that the train has left the station. Once these guys put together the pieces to show that they're really getting towards a big picture producer, they're either going to get bought out or they're going to get more money thrown at them to get those permits, do all the signing off that they need to, and start producing gold and copper. So, depending on your risk tolerance, depending on how much of that 5K you need to not be eating cat food, I'd say 3 to 5 of it would be a really good bet.
Ooh.
For me.
Let's go back to the gremlin driver.
If it was DMC, DeLorean Motor Company, 6K.
Yeah, all sorts of coke. I as far as I know it sounds like I'm backtracking here a bit because I was pretty effusive when I stepped into this. The only thing that I would have is a bit of a caveat, and I'm not really sure that, how much of an impact it will be, depending on how this company sort of forms out. They're about to drop some more assays soon, and I think to a certain extent, this again is pure speculation. I believe because they haven't dropped a whole amount of money down on more drill programs, they're expecting somebody that's sniffing around that just might snap them up. And all they really need to do is come up with a couple of confirming assay results, and then they're off to the races. And if that's the case, then the investors are going to make out like bandits. But okay, again, pure speculation. My only caveat, however, if this is a long-term thing and we're looking at Arizona being the one that's going to take this mine into development, is the price of copper. And considering what's going on with China right now, especially in the technology sector, copper is a functional metal. It's not like gold. It's not something you just dip into because you want to preserve your value. It's actually something that needs to be used. And if we get to a point where the tech industry does a header because the Chinese are no longer investing, we might see a dip in copper prices, which could, to a certain extent, impact the value on this particular mining project. But if this is an idea of a takeout, doesn't really matter because it's going to happen long before any of those copper prices have an effect. So, okay. That said, 2,500 with a possible of 5, depending on what's happening in the next couple of months.
Okay. Michelle, final word.
Yep, I'm similar to the allocations there. I'm bullish gold and copper commodities in general. I mean, commodities have had a pretty amazing run this year. Lumber, steel, heck, even coffee is like jumping right now. And I think the metals will have another rally, as Chris said, due to the geopolitical and the macro situation in the world. In terms of Arizona metals, management, jurisdiction, and the cash position. So that's good for shareholders. With that cash position, it's very likely more catalysts will be coming, and you don't have to really wait for dilution there, or you don't have to worry about dilution as of now. I would go in with the same sort of allocation that Chris and Galen have said.
Just quickly on the Chinese front, I think that there's going to be issues in the Chinese economy in going forward. But the question you have to ask yourself is, by the time Arizona Metals gets to producing, are those problems likely to still be happening? You've probably got a couple of years there before it's really an issue. Yep. And the question I'd be looking at is, will gold and copper be up at that point? I think all the things that make copper really interesting, lack of supply and building demand, are important. All the things that make gold interesting, financial crises, fear. There's going to be plenty of that around in the coming years, I think. So, those are the things to take into account. Invest. If you're trading, that's a different story. If you're investing, then buying in at $3.30, even if it dropped to $3 or $2.50, the question is, where will it be when you decide to check out? And for me, I think it's this is one of those things that they've already shown a track record of accretion.
I think we should just quickly note too in copper, not just infrastructure building, but like as well as clean energy, right? Clean energy, EVs. If you're going to electrify the economy, copper will be in high demand there as well.
All right, folks, there you go. This is some wonderful advice and guidance and information. However, you are responsible as investors out there to do your own research and homework. And also, of course, past performance does not guarantee future results. So take your own money to the bank. Don't take ours. But some good stuff here. And if I say goodbye based on the cars that we drive, this is Evo saying farewell for the Gremlin, the Maserati and the Mercedes C-Class. We'll see you guys next time on the Equity Guru Investor Roundtable.